Imagine a world without music. No songs, no rhythms, no drums. That's almost impossible to imagine, right? Music is everywhere in human culture. But when did humans first make music? The answer is older than you think. Charles Darwin called music the most mysterious gift. He said music might be older than language. Today, we're going to find out how music was born. Let's start with rhythm, the oldest music. Rhythm started with the human foot. Every step we take creates a beat. Bipedalism, walking on two legs, gave us rhythm. As early humans walked upright, they developed rhythm. The mother's heartbeat was the first music. Every human heard a rhythm before birth. Chimpanzees also show rhythmic behavior. This means rhythm goes back millions of years, but rhythm alone wasn't music yet. Something else was needed to create music. The discovery of fire changed everything. Fire created the first social gathering place. Before fire, nights were dark and dangerous. Fire brought safety and community. Fire extended the night, creating time for music. The crackling fire itself made sound. Ancient humans listened to the fire. Fire's crackle may have inspired rhythm. Then humans began to imitate the fire. Fire made music possible. Then humans created the first instrument, the drum, the oldest man-made instrument. Drums were made from hollow logs and animal skins. The first drum was probably a hollow tree trunk. Drums created the first human-made rhythm. Drums could be heard from far away. They became a communication tool. Different rhythms meant different messages. Drums spoke before language could. Drums were used in rituals. Shamans used drums to enter trance states. Drumming changed consciousness. The drum became the heartbeat of the tribe. Drums united people through rhythm. And then someone blew into a bone. The first flute was made from a bear bone. This flute was found in Slovenia. It is 60,000 years old. That's older than any language we know. Music is older than human language. With music came dance. Dance is music made visible. Dance brought people together in motion. Dance synchronized heartbeats. Dance created tribal bonds. Dance was part of every ceremony. Dance healed the sick. Dance told stories. Dance was the first language. Dance is universal in every culture. Rhythm, drums, dance. These were the first music. But they needed one more thing to become music. They needed melody, pitch, and song. Song came from the human voice. The human voice is the oldest instrument. Before words, there were songs. Scientists believe singing came before speaking. Mothers sang to their babies. The first lullabies were the first songs. Music soothed the soul. Music was the first therapy. Music brought communities together. Music expressed what words could not. It was the language of the heart. Music and language share the same brain areas. This proves they are deeply connected. Music may have helped language evolve. Melody became the first communication. Together, rhythm, drums, dance, fire, and language became music. And that is how humans invented music. But music didn't stop evolving. Different cultures created different instruments. In Africa, they made drums from trees. In Asia, they made flutes from bamboo. In Europe, they made harps from wood. Every culture had its own sound. Music became part of identity. It told stories of heroes and gods. It celebrated harvests and victories. It mourned the dead. Music was at the center of life. The Greeks had a word for it, mousike. They believed music was a gift from the gods. Plato said, music gives soul to the universe. Aristotle said, music cleanses the soul. The Romans continued this tradition. They used music in theater and games. In India, music was sacred. The Vedas were sung, not spoken. In China, music was part of philosophy. The Chinese had the guqin, a 7-stringed zither. It was played by scholars and poets. The Japanese had the koto. The koto was used in court music. In Persia, they had the setar. The setar was the ancestor of the guitar. In Africa, they had the balafon. It was like a xylophone made of wood. In Egypt, they had the harp. Egyptian harps were played by priestesses. In Mesopotamia, they had the lyre. The lyre was played at royal courts. In Greece, they had the aulos. The aulos was a double reed instrument. In Rome, they had the cornu. The cornu was used in the Roman army. In India, they had the veena. The veena was associated with the goddess Saraswati. In the Americas, they had the panpipe. Panpipes were used by the Inca and the Maya. They made flutes from bones and clay, drums from animal skins and hollow logs, rattles from gourds and pebbles. Every culture used what they had. Nature provided the materials. Human creativity made them instruments. Music was born from the world around them. The sounds of birds inspired melody. The sounds of wind inspired pitch. The sounds of water inspired rhythm. The sounds of animals inspired song. Nature was the first teacher. Early humans listened and learned. They imitated the sounds they heard. They made music from everything. They sang to the stars. They drummed to the earth. They danced to the sun. They celebrated the world through music. Music was their connection to the divine. In rituals, they called the spirits. In ceremonies, they honored their ancestors. In celebrations, they shared their joy. In mourning, they expressed their grief. Music was the language of emotion. It spoke when words failed. It connected people across distances. It connected generations across time. It connected humans to the cosmos. Music was magic, but the voice was the first instrument. The human voice is older than any flute. No one knows when singing began. Maybe it started with a mother singing to her baby. Maybe it started with someone imitating a bird. Maybe it started with a group shouting together. We may never know. But we know singing is ancient. The oldest known song is 3,400 years old. It was written in cuneiform on a clay tablet. It was a hymn to the goddess Nikal from Syria, the Hurrian hymn. It shows that music was written down. Writing music is almost as old as writing itself. The Greeks wrote down their music too. They had a system of notation. They wrote about the power of music. Pythagoras discovered musical intervals. He found that music is math. The ratios of strings create harmony. This was the birth of music theory. The Greeks had modes, scales of notes. Each mode had a different feeling. Some were joyful, some were sad, some were warlike, some were peaceful. They knew music affected the soul. Music could change your mood. It could make you brave or sad. It could make you love or hate. The Greeks used music in their plays. The chorus sang and danced. Music was part of storytelling. It made the stories come alive. It made the audience feel. The Romans took this further. They used music in their theater. They used music in their military. They used music in their spectacles. Music was everywhere. But in the Middle Ages, music changed. The church became the center of music. Gregorian chant filled the cathedrals. Monks sang in harmony. They used the human voice alone. No instruments, just voices. This was called a cappella. The church forbade certain instruments. Only the organ was allowed. But people still made music. They played flutes and drums in secret. The Egyptians loved music. They played harps, flutes, and drums. They believed music was a gift from Thoth, the god of wisdom and music. They used music in their temples. The priestesses sang and danced. They played music for the pharaoh. In their tombs, they had instruments to use in the afterlife. Music was eternal to them. The Sumerians had musicians. They played the lyre and the harp. They sang hymns to their gods. The Assyrians had military music. They used drums and trumpets to scare their enemies. The Babylonians had festival music. They celebrated with song and dance. In the Old Testament, music is everywhere. David played the harp. The Psalms were songs. Music was a form of prayer. In India, music was sacred. The Vedas were composed in song. They were passed down orally for thousands of years. In China, music was part of life. Confucius said music creates harmony. He believed it made a good ruler. Music was part of education. Every scholar learned to play. In Japan, music was an art. They had court music called gagaku. It was ancient and formal. In Korea, they had the gyeogyum, a zither with 12 strings. In the Americas, music was everywhere. The Maya played flutes and drums. The Aztecs had ritual music. They used music in their ceremonies. The Inca had festival music. They played panpipes and drums. In Africa, music was community. Everyone participated. They sang together. They danced together. Music was for everyone, not just the elite. This is the oldest tradition. Music belongs to all. Music communicates without words. A melody can make you cry. A rhythm can make you dance. A harmony can make you feel peace. Music speaks to the heart. It crosses all boundaries. Language, culture, religion. Music unites them all. Everyone understands music. It is universal. The same beat can move anyone. The same melody can touch anyone. The same song can connect anyone. Music is the language of emotion. It expresses joy and sadness. It expresses love and loss. It expresses hope and despair. Music is a mirror of the soul. It reveals who we are. It reveals how we feel. It reveals what we believe. Music is the story of humanity. Every culture has its own music. Every era has its own sound. Every person has their own song. Music is individual and universal. It is ancient and modern. It is traditional and innovative. It is simple and complex. Music is all these things. From the first drum to the latest symphony, from the bone flute to the electric guitar, from the tribe to the concert hall. Music has evolved with us, and it will evolve with our children. New songs will be written. New instruments will be invented. New rhythms will be discovered. Music will never die. As long as humans exist, music exists. It is part of being human. We were born with rhythm. We were born with song. We were born with dance. We were born with music. It is in our blood. It is in our breath. It is in our hearts. Music is life. The story of music is the story of us. It began millions of years ago, with footsteps on the earth, with firelight in the dark, with drums around the campfire, with dance in the moonlight, with songs of love and loss, with prayers to the gods, with celebrations of the harvest, with laments for the dead. Music has been with us always. It is our oldest tradition. It is our most universal language. It is our greatest gift, and it is not over. New music is being made right now, in every country of the world, in every culture and tradition, in every home and street. Music is everywhere. It lives in the voices of children. It lives in the hands of musicians. It lives in the hearts of listeners. It will always be with us, because music is part of us, and we are part of music. The circle is complete, from footsteps to symphony, from bone flute to guitar, from tribe to global village. Music has connected us. It will continue to connect us. This is the story of music. This is the story of humanity. This is how humans invented music. Thank you for watching this journey. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more content like this. This is Sapiean Senses, exploring human history, one story at a time.